presentation?
Yes, that's their premise.
How did you get this?
He gave it to
This
me.
is our website.
How are you gonna get these presentations?
They're bringing them to us.
We need some presentations.
No, the presentation is there.
Yeah, I know, no, it's good, I mean, yes.
That's his website. The presentations is closed.
We would like to have them ideally preloaded,
Right,
so,
right.
you know,
Play with it.
it's already up. But no, it's fine, it's good. I just, nobody's,
Nobody. Oh, go
let's
right.
see right here.
Yeah, nobody's.
Hello, hello.
So you want this? You want your presentation first?
The presentation first.
Excuse me. Let me show you one of the. You want her to do it, or you want me to do it?
I'm sorry.
No, the PowerPoint, yeah.
You should probably just start. Because it's online, it's.
Yeah, yeah, that's, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that wasn't his one?
No, the other one, the Mid-Atlantic one.
It's the one with the PM.
Yeah.
That's a website. After he does this, he will load it. Yeah. Okay, let me do this. All right, so.
Ready? Okay. Good afternoon. My workshop title is Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN, and this tool is developed by the Center for Community Engagement Environmental Justice, SAGE. My name is Haile Taddese. Next. Environmental justice is a fair treatment and meaningful involvement for all people regardless of race, color, national origin, income with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. Executive Order 12899 directed federal agencies to develop environmental justice strategies, address disproportionately high and diverse human health and environmental effects of their programs on minority and low-income populations. The Presidential Memorandum 1994 accompanies the order, underscores certain provisions of existing laws that can help ensure that all communities and persons across the nation live in a safe and healthy environment. Next. So, what is environmental justice? Okay. So what is environmental justice screening tool? It's a tool that utilizes standard and consistent data to highlight places that may have higher environmental burdens and vulnerable populations. The tool offers a variety of powerful data and mapping capabilities that enable users to access environmental demographic information at high geographic resolution across the entire country, region, state, displayed in a color-coded maps. These maps and reports show how selected location compares to the rest of the nation, EPA region, state, county, and census tract. All this data is processed using ArcGIS software. So what is GIS? Geographic Information System is a computer system for capturing, storing, coding, analyzing, and displaying geospatial data. GIS allows geographic features in a real-world locations to be digitally represented and stored in a database so that they can be presented in a map form and can also be analyzed and manipulated to address some problems. As you can see, any data, whether it is street data, building data, vegetation data, can be combined and to show in a map, and that is easy to understand for people. As you can see, one example is EPA used ArcGIS to develop the EPA EJSCREEN tool. CDC also developed the next tool, risk thresholds, so you can use GIS to process and produce different maps. So what are the GIS components important for tool development? So we need people, researchers, technicians. You need data, which is spatial data, whether it is vector, raster, and image. We need computer systems, technical equipment to do that, software we need, and methods. So what is the objective of Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN? It was created to focus on environmental issues in the region and identifying disadvantaged communities at local, state, and regional level. It allows users to explore layers of environmental justice concern, determines overall EJ score for census tracts in the region. The tool helps to compare and analyze EJ scores, domain scores within the Atlantic region, and at the same time can have county statistics. The tool also illustrates different burdens of climate hazard within a region and across the population. So where do we get all this data to process? The data were gathered from a variety of sources and indicators were identified based on literature for known risk factors in each of the 5 domains. The 5 domains are health, climate, demographic, environmental effects, and environmental exposure. Source of data are different EJ mapping tools, including US EPA EJSCREEN, CDC, the Council of Environmental Quality, Climate, and Economic Justice Screening Tool, FEMA data, and CDC place data set for health. Additional data sources also include NASA, USDA for different data sources. So what are the health indicators included in this tool? We included asthma, cancer, diabetic health disease, high blood pressure, poor mental health, depression, high cholesterol, stroke, and COVID. Climate indicators are like avalanche, coastal flooding, drought, earthquake, heat wave, landslide, river flooding, strong wind, tornado, volcanic activity, winter weather, and expected annual losses. The demographic indicators are people of color, low income, less than high school education, limited English speaking, individuals over 64, unemployment, housing burden low, income households, age 17 and younger, civilian with disability, housing costs, housing tenure, lack of health insurance, lack of indoor plumbing, and housing tenure. The environmental exposures are air toxic cancer risk, air toxic respiratory hazard, diesel particulate matter, ozone, traffic proximity, NO2 level, carbon dioxide, and methane emissions. The environmental effects indicators are lead paint, proximity to risk management, proximity to storage, proximity to NPL sites, wastewater discharge, impaired water bodies, hazardous waste proximity, superfund proximity, toxic relic inventory, underground storage tanks, coal mines, lead mines, lack of green cover. So how do we combine all this data to produce the tool? To calculate the EJS score, methodology similar to the California EnviroScreen was applied. The raw indicator scores were calculated from the lowest to the highest census tract and then converted to percentile values from 0 to 100. These values are averaged to create two scores per census tract, which is the population characteristic score and the pollution burden score. All data for the Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN collected from different sources were converted to GIS format using ArcGIS software. Data were also converted to 2020 census tract using ARC software. Microsoft Excel was used to convert some percentiles. So overall, we have data climate 17 indicators, environmental exposure 9, environmental effect 13, health 10, socioeconomic 16, and as you can see on the graph, the climate, environmental effects, and environmental exposure combined to produce pollution burden, health and socioeconomic combined to produce the population characteristics. After we calculate those two, we produce the composite environmental justice score. So in my presentation, I'm going to talk about percentile score. So what is a percentile? A percentile is a term that describes how a score compares to the other scores of the same set, which is from 0 to 100. It's a comparison method. This is some questions to check in the website and from the slides. So when this executive order signed by President Clinton, how many domains and indicators included to develop the Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN. Please list the greenhouse gases included in this tool. Can we obtain a cumulative EJS score from the US EPA EJSCREEN? What about cumulative EJS score from Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN? So the tool looks like this. So it is Mid-Atlantic Environmental Justice Screen. So it has environmental justice index, health, environmental effects, environmental exposure, climate change, and demographic. At the same time, you can click the get data, get reports, and data download, EPA IRA. You can go to that from this website. You can also go to the CGIS tool. So the EJS score is divided into 5 from 0 to 20, 0 from 20 to 40 percentile, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, and 80 to 100. So the higher means the area is highly affected by environmental degradation and environmental justice issues. So because this is the Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN, we are comparing status in the region. So we say, okay, where are those top 25 census tracts with the highest cumulative EJS score? So as you can see, out of those 25 census tracts, Baltimore City in Maryland has 9 census tracts, which means it is highly affected by environmental injustice issues. Berks and Delaware County in Pennsylvania has 3 census tracts. Coble County in West Virginia and Richmond City in Virginia has 2 census tracts, which are highly affected by environmental justice problems. So what about if I compare those issues by state, like Delaware, District of Columbia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia? So as you can see, District of Columbia has 68 out of 206 census tracts, and it means 33% of the census tracts are highly affected, or the score is greater than 75 percentile. This means it is highly affected. And at the same time, West Virginia has 253 out of 546 census tracts. This means almost half of the census tracts in West Virginia is highly affected by environmental injustice problems. So as you can see, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland have the highest number of census tracts with scores above the 75 percentile, but because the census tract is based on the number of population in the state, when we see the percentile, West Virginia has the highest percentage of census tracts with scores above the 75 percentile, followed by DC. What about if we use the 90 percentile cut point and see which state is highly affected by environmental injustice issues? So as you can see, Washington, D.C. had 21% of the census tracts are highly affected as compared to the whole region, followed by West Virginia and Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia has the highest number of census tracts above the 90 percentile. However, Washington, D.C. has the highest percentage of census tracts above the 90 percentile, followed by Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Virginia has the lowest percentage of census tracts with scores above the 90 percentile, which is 3.23%. So this means relatively to the other states, it's okay. So another map, which is the environmental exposure map, is here. So as you can see, the major metropolitan areas in the region are highly affected by environmental exposures, which means by different gases are affecting the population who living in the region. The next one is the environmental effects map. So as you can see, there are very variability of environmental effects issues in the region. So this is another comparison. Okay, what about if we compare the census tracts with scores above the 75 percentile and compare each state, so which one is highly affected by environmental exposure and environmental effects? So as you can see, District of Columbia, out of 206 census tracts, 205 census tracts score greater than 75 percentile. So this means almost 100% of census tracts in DC score greater than 75 percentile, which is highly affected by environmental exposure indicators compared to the environmental effects. So this is another way to show, okay, can I see about my census tract? If I live in this specific location, can I get the report out of that? Yes, you can. So you can use this Google and Google for example, here I Google Baltimore City, Maryland, and it shows me, when I zoom in and zoom out, it shows me how many census tracts I can see per view. But when I zoom into that particular area, it's going to show me only one census tract. And as you can see, the census tract scores are displayed in the view. This is another example, Northeast Washington, D.C. As you can see, almost the scores are greater than 0.8 for all the census tracts in this viewing map. This is another map, which is climate change. As you can see, there are 5 divisions from 0 to 100. So different areas has different exposure issues. This is about health, and this is a demographic map. So another way also is to compare the status based on the climate, health, and socioeconomic factors. So as you can see, there are variability, which one is highly affected by climate, which one is affected by health, and which one is affected by issues related to socioeconomic factors. As you can see, DC has only 6 census tracts above 75, means in DC it's not the climate problem, but the exposure problem, which is affecting Washington, D.C. So another way is, okay, can we see the individual maps for each state? So as you can see here, there is D.C. and Delaware. So, and there is a variability of the overall EJ score, even in the state. As you can see, the southeast and northeast part of D.C. is highly affected by cumulative EJ score, and at the same time, the middle and the western part of the lower is also affected by overall EGI scores. So to compare, okay, if I live in Delaware and District of Columbia, I have a list here. So you can see which census tract is highly affected by environmental justice problems in each state by doing this. So this is another example to show about the composite EJ score in Washington, D.C., and climate and health map. Dover, this is also another example, Dover in Delaware. So you can see there are some census tracts very low over EGI, but there are high EGI also in some areas. So when you come to Maryland EJSCREEN, you can see the highly red part of the cities around the major cities, around the western part of Maryland. So when we see which census tract is highly affected in Maryland, it's almost, you can see it is around Baltimore city area. So what about if we compare the county variability within Maryland? As you can see, Baltimore City has the highest score, which is 0.8, followed by Caroline, Dorchester, Somerset, Kent, Washington, and Allegheny are the highest affected counties in Maryland. What about Baltimore? If I go to Baltimore and see what the statistics look like in Baltimore City. Coppin State University, Baltimore, it's a university around Baltimore, so you can see the area score, which is composite, climate, and health characteristics. So this is Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, you can see there are also variability from 0 to 100 percentile. But when we see which census tracts is highly, the top 10 worst affected census tracts in Pennsylvania, there is a list, and you can see if it is your census tract which is highly affected by environmental injustice problems in your state. What about if we compare top 7 worst affected counties in Pennsylvania are Philadelphia, Montour, Lebanon, Lehigh, Fayette, Mifflin, and Dauphin. So you can see this is another way to see the report for each. This is Philadelphia. You can see the composite, the climate, the exposure, everything from one screen. And it's possible to see which census tract is affected, and at the same time, the score for each domain and the overall score in Philadelphia. This is another site in Pennsylvania, the Overbrook Environmental Education Center. As you can see, the scores are high for most of the census tracts around this area. This is a Virginia composite environmental justice map. So in Virginia, you can see the top 10 worst affected census tracts in the state. So I think you can see it is the 3 census tracts are in Richmond City. Top 7 worst affected counties or cities in Virginia are Norton City, Henry, Martinsville City, Petersburg City, Waynesboro City, Emporia City, and Dickinson City. As you can see, Norton City has a score of 0.89 on average. So when you see, this is another way to see the scores. So this is Alexandria, Virginia. So you can see how the score is variable from one census tract to the other. So this is West Virginia. As you can see, it's almost red, the whole state. So as you can see, the top 8 worst affected census tracts are listed here, but you can go and search which census tract you live, and you can also get the information for all the domains and the overall score. So for the counties, Wayne County, Mingo, McDonald, Bonny, Mercer, Pleasant, and Wyoming are the highest score, which means they are highly affected by environmental injustice problems. So as you can see, this is also another way you can Google West Virginia, and it takes you there, and you will find the report for each, which is climate, exposure, composite, and all the domains included in this. West Virginia State University, this is another way you can Google and check the statistics for each site. On summary, West Virginia has the highest percentage of census tracts with scores above the 75 percentile, followed by Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. D.C. has the highest percentage of census tracts with scores above the 90 percentile, followed by West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Overall, the major metropolitan areas in our region, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, has the highest scores in the region. So this is also another question you can answer by yourself. So you can go to the website, which is Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN, umd.edu, and you go to the tool and find your location by putting your address, and you can locate your address and city and find many information is related to environmental injustice issues. So that's the PowerPoint presentation, and thank you. But we will continue with the screen demonstration after this. That's fine now. The other one, the other. Yeah. Can she move? So this is a tool we have. As you will find when you go to the Siege website, you will find this just stay there. So as you can see, when you go to the website and click in any place in the map, you will find the statistics for each domain, at the same time the overall EJ score. So you can also zoom in and zoom out by clicking the plus and minus. You can, on the left side, on the left, yeah. You can zoom in and zoom out. So can you zoom, yeah. So you can do this and see your area, and at the same time you can also check by search on the right side there is a search thing. So you can put, for example, can you put an address? Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, Google that, just that's it, click that. Okay, so we're now in one address, and as you can see, it's going to, then if you click exactly on this place right now, you will find information, whatever information you need. If you click any place in this area, so as you can see, this is going to, it gives you your census ID, which is 2403170,422. That's your census where you live, and that's the exposure, that's the effect, the demographic, climate, and the overall. The overall score is relatively okay, so compared to the other places. So another thing is you can also go to the other domains. You know, right now we are in the overall EGI, but you can click health, environmental effects, environmental exposure in the left side. The left side, yeah, you can just click that. So right now we are in the environmental exposure. So you can do the same and see, okay, what about if I want to know what type of gas is affecting my neighborhood. You can do that by Googling anything. So for example, this is Hyattsville. So you can click there and you say, okay, now we have methane is 0.7, carbon dioxide, ozone 0.7, but diesel particulate is 0.9, which is related to diesel cars, and that's the main problem in Hyattsville. So that way, you will understand your area, what's happening. So can you click the health? Health. Yeah. So this is also health, okay? When you Google whatever address, okay, this is in Virginia. So when you click in Virginia, click that. Click in that area. Okay. So you have, okay, high blood pressure is 70. Cancer, there's 7. Asthma is relatively fine. Heart disease, COVID, diabetics. So the overall is 0.5 in this area. So this way you can search what's particular. This tool includes 65 indicators. Out of these 65 indicators, which indicator is highly affecting my area? So you can identify this way. So go to the other now, to the dashboard, the next one. The other, on the website. Up, yeah, click that. Okay, now search on this, search whatever information, search, yeah, search. It may take time, I don't know. Yeah, it's slow, but when you use this, it gives you not only your particular address information, but yeah, just go ahead and zoom now. Specific address, please. This dashboard is going to help us, understand what's happening for all these indicators. At the same time, you can see at the same viewing. Wait, maybe. Okay. So you can also zoom in and zoom out, so to see the information you need. Okay. Well, sometimes it takes the internet is slow. So go back to the main one. Go to the main one. It's okay. Go to the main one. Go to the main one. To the other one. The first one, yeah, go that way. Okay. So you have an option to do. So if you go to the SIG website and click the tools in the Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN, you will see all this information in our region, whether it is Pennsylvania, Maryland, DC, West Virginia. So all the information is here. Another thing is you can also search like the EPA IRA and the White House tool by clicking. So you can click the EPA IRA, that one. That's also going to take you to another website, and click the map opener on the right side. Right side, the first one. No, here. So this is another tool just we added beside that. So this is another tool, so it's going to help, especially when you are applying for funding in federal governments or NGOs. So you can use the Mid-Atlantic EJSCREEN at the same time the federal tools for different applications. It's easy to do all of them. Well, I think that's overall our presentation today. Thank you very much. And you can reach us by email, or you can go to the SIG website to contact us, and also check all the tools we have. And thank you very much.